tournament director here for the tournament this weekend. She's just going to say a couple words and then hand the microphone over to Patrick, who's going to open us up with some comments, and then we'll take some questions from the media.
I mean, not that I want to correct the gentleman, but John Lansville is our tournament director, and he's responsible for the officials, the media, and all of the players and the guests. And I'm just responsible for keeping everything else in line, and I won't say what else. Anyway, so good to see you, Patrick. Welcome. Welcome to all our players, and certainly welcome to all the media. We so appreciate you covering Atlanta tennis. I don't know who's here from the AJC, but that's the best article I've ever seen in my history of living in Atlanta. The article that was in the paper this morning from the AJC. So thank you to whoever was responsible for that, and thank you for all of the other media who is here. Welcome Tom Jacobs, a good friend of ours who's really responsible from Boca for making this look as good as it is. So thank you.
Thank you. Oh, Patrick. Thank you.
Pat, thank you for producing your oldest son, who carried me to the Kalamazoo doubles title. And the French Open doubles title. That's right. Thank you, Pat, for helping us out, and for you guys and ladies in the press for coming. It's great to be back here. It seems like the event gets better every year, so that's really good for us in the USTA and player development. And you know, we're constantly having these playoff events for all the 3 Grand Slams that we can. The Australian Open, this one, the French Open, and obviously the US Open as well. So it's a great opportunity for the players, some young ones, some not so young, like my friend Mr. Ginepri here, who's still undefeated in Davis Cup play, I might add. Yeah, I remember that well. But it's a good opportunity to have the mix of some veteran players, and obviously give some young players like Gail and Madison an opportunity to earn their way into the Australian Open. So great to be back here, and happy to answer any questions that any of you might have. And don't all start at once. Okay, yeah.
This year we saw Ryan and Donald make pretty good moves up the rankings. 2 guys that you think at least 2 next year again, maybe make similar moves, or who would you be looking at to make those similar strides next year?
That's a good point. We had both of them here last year, and of course we had Ryan beat Jack in the finals last year. We'd like to have more than that, to be honest, but you know, that's what these events are about, and that's overall what we're about with particularly the young players, is to make them earn it and to get the opportunities. I think, you know, Kudla certainly by beating Sock today was a great win for him, and Sock certainly has a lot of potential as well. And Ryan Williams, who had a good win today coming out of Tennessee. Obviously we've got a lot of high hopes for a lot of the young ladies that are here at the table and be playing again tomorrow. So I think we're going to have a lot of good young females coming up pretty quickly.
Yes. Do you happen to have a preference with regards to college education versus going pro? Do you have a preference as far as player development?
In what respect?
In the respect that, what would you rather see a player? Do you think a player can get the same advantages by playing on a college team as they can to come up through the pro circuit?
No, I don't.
Thank you.
Would you like me to elaborate?
I would.
Okay, because that could be taken in the wrong way.
Definitely.
I think that the numbers don't lie, and I think if you look at the top 200 in the women's game at the moment, I believe there's 1 player that went to college, of whom was here today, Irina Falconi. In the men's game, I believe there's probably about maybe 4 or 5 players in the top 200. John Isner obviously has been a great success. I think it's possible to go to college and to become a pro. That's why you see, you know, we've got Ryan Williams here. We had Steve Johnson, who Robby played, who's probably going to go back and finish. I think those guys can certainly become top 100 players, but the reality is the reality that the most common way for any player from any country to get to the top of the professional game is to go basically through the pro ranks. But we're certainly making an emphasis with our program to support players that decide to go to college. And I think that some players in the last 10 years or so have made a mistake of trying to go pro too early. So I think it's a very viable pathway to get to professional tennis. But the numbers tell the story, which is that for the most part, players that make it to the top of pro tennis do not go to college.
Thank you.
Does the USTA stand on the fact that some players now are starting to really reach the peak of their career late into their 20s? Marty had his best year, and still players still doing real well. Robby.
Where do we stand on it?
Yeah, are they still USTA still giving full support? Are they behind that?
Well, we've certainly given a lot of support to Marty in the last couple of years. He trains, full time with us. Robby has been helped by us recently. He does his own thing as well. So we're certainly more than willing to help those kinds of players, absolutely. And I think it also goes back to his question about college. I think even you're seeing in the women's game, you're seeing a lot of the top players develop a little bit later physically because the game is becoming more and more physical. So I think that that's a big part of it. So the answer is if you keep yourself in great shape and you take care of yourself, and I think that's probably the number one priority as you get a little bit older. But we certainly will support those players, absolutely.
Let's pass the mic down to Gail. She had a big 3-set win today against Atlanta's own, Georgia's own, Melanie Udan. Talk about your match today. Tomorrow you're facing the top seed in Coco Vanderway. Talk about your match tomorrow.
I really look forward to playing Coco, actually. We've only played once before, I believe, and it was a really good match, and I think it was a good experience for both of us. I don't want to say we have similar game styles, but, we both go for a lot on our shots, and I like to think we hit hard. So, it should be a lot of fun. I think it'll be a great match.
You were talking earlier about working with the USTA coaches at the Village and King Center. Talk about that experience and working with Patrick.
That's a lot, really. That's hard.
It's been a nightmare with Patrick. No, I'm kidding, of course. No, it's been really great, and the fact that I could have played my match today the way that I did and pulled out the win. I think the result speaks for itself, and I really feel that I've improved a lot training there, and I just finally I feel like I found the place where I want to be, and I've become like a family with the coaches there and the players there, and it's been really, really great.
Madison, talk about your big win in DC at the last wild card playoff, getting the main draw into the US Open, winning a round against Jill. Talk about that experience.
That was a great experience. I played Tracy in the finals, and I won that, so I got the wild card, and I played Jill first round, and I won that, which was an amazing experience and probably one of the best tennis memories that I have. And even playing Safarova the next round was a great experience, and I learned a lot from my match, and I'm just really excited to go and play again.
Great. Thank you.
I also like to say the nice thing about what Madison did last summer was that she had the opportunity at the Nationals, and she didn't win the Nationals for the 18 and unders, which that's an automatic wild card, which Gail won a couple of years ago. And what was it, like 2 days later, you were playing in the playoff tournament on the other side of the country. So, that was a real great show of her toughness, that she was able to, get another opportunity and then take advantage of it by winning the playoff at the US Open. And here's a man who needs no introduction.
No, definitely love having events here in Atlanta. Got to experience it last year for my first time playing here, and then even this summer at Rec Club of the South. Not too many times your friends and family can make it out to tournaments overseas or even in the U.S., but it's great to have one here, and Definitely appreciative of USTA for giving me the opportunity to play in the shootout. Hopefully make the most of it, but just very happy that I'm able to play again after the last year and a half of some injuries. So it's part of the game. Everyone goes through it, some more severe than others, but looking forward to playing tomorrow against Ryan. I was hoping my man down there, Bobby, would have pulled it out, but I don't think we've ever played except in juniors, so would have been fun, but it's the way it goes, and looking forward to tomorrow.
Robby, are you feeling 100% right now, and do you plan on playing the full schedule next year? And also, I wanted to ask you exactly what happened to you last year in that injury. I remember you had been on a bicycle and you were trying to avoid a squirrel. What really happened to you?
Yeah, you're correct. All the above. No, it was flying down the hill about 30 miles an hour and probably like 100, 200 yards out. The squirrel kind of darted out and startled me enough, and just lost control. And when you're going at that speed, there's really nothing good that can happen when you fall down. Luckily, I was wearing a helmet, and luckily I didn't fall on my right elbow. But had another elbow surgery a couple months ago to remove all the wire, and strenuous rehab, months of it, day in, day out. So to be playing at this high level again, I never thought would be possible again. And definitely taught me a lot being out that long, and kept things in perspective. And I know my window is closing, and hope to make the most of it. So I do hopefully, plan to play a full schedule next year. It's very important to be healthy throughout a full calendar year. Hats off to Federer. I don't know how he does it so long. He's always tip-top shape for all the majors and the tournaments. So it's something that I'm going to strive to do next year. Definitely going to stay off the bike and maybe walk up and down the mountain instead.
Yes, Patrick. We've had a couple of weeks now, you and USTA, to digest the Bogomolov playing in the Davis Cup for Russia situation. Feeling differently about that now, and has there been talk at USTA maybe putting some procedures in that couldn't happen again, where a player could defect and play for another country in the Davis Cup after getting the training and support?
Well, he has received quite a bit of support, and but that's an ITF decision by their committee. But we're certainly exploring our options. I'll leave it at that. I certainly believe that it would be, again, I have no issue really with him, personally, or from a USTA standpoint, him wanting to, go play for Russia. He was born there, he has family there, but I do believe that he should repay the USDA, and he's actually signed something that said that he will do that. So, we'll see what happens.
USTA is exploring options to that fact?
Yes, that's correct.
I had a question about the women and under program. Do you feel that it's been a success so far? And I also wanted to ask you about the softball that the 10 other kids play with. Do you think that's something, will that be something that happens forever for them, or do you think at what point are they talented enough where you say no, they're going to go to the real balls? It's something I've been curious about.
It's a very good question, and it's first of all, I think it's been a huge success, but we just started. So it's going to take some time to get it embedded in with coaches and with parents, and the competition structure, how that will look. But there's absolutely no doubt in my mind that it's the right thing to do, and it's great for kids. And we've actually been working internally, our group specifically, on what we call competencies and progressions to progress from the red to the orange to the green and then to the yellow. We're spending a lot of time and a lot of our manpower and women power trying to get it right and trying to educate people. I heard far too many from whether it's coaches or parents say, well, my 7-year-old's better than everyone. Look, they can play with the yellow ball. There's no 7 or 8-year-old on the planet that should be playing with a yellow ball, period. with a regular yellow ball because the ball bounces over their head. So we're making progress. It's going to be it's going to take a while to get it in place, but I'm extremely optimistic about what it can do for tennis just in general in this country, for getting kids interested in tennis, getting them to learn. One of my daughters just started playing tennis. She's 5, and she's learning how to play the right way because the ball is the right bounce. And there's plenty of coaches around the world that have been deadening balls for years and putting holes in balls. That's how you learn when you're young. So we're trying to make it just part of the structure so that it then becomes understood that when you play tennis and when you start tennis, you start with the right equipment. So I don't know if that was the answer you were looking for, but it's a it's a complex issue.
I think it's been very successful in Europe, and you talk to some of the guys that started in like Sweden,
right.
And that's how they started with those kind of balls,
Right.
and they said that's the way they learned, and it was very successful for them. So I think it's been a great idea.
Yeah, it just takes a lot of monitoring of when the kid is ready to move on to the next ball and the next progression.
Can I follow up on that?
Sure.
How do we get school systems to dedicate quick start courts?
Well, I think that's a lot of the problem with tennis is space, and I think that you can put 4 quick start courts on one regulation size court. You can put them in gyms. You can put them in on the pavement outside in driveways. So I think that's this is a huge part of why we think this can really change tennis and get more. And it's hard to go to a school that's in an urban area and say, have tennis. And they're like, well, where are we going to build tennis courts? So now you can actually just take the net and you can put it up anywhere. You can put it up in a gym. But obviously you've got to be able to get the numbers and a lot of kids to be able to play. It's easier to obviously have a lot of kids play soccer or play basketball because they can play with one ball. So I think quick start and the appropriate size equipment will help. Once we got to get it in the tennis community first, and then I think we can start to really try to push it with the schools.
Thank you.
Question for Madison. So you're playing out Next. Have you played her? Do you have any thoughts about that match? And also, what are your plans for the upcoming year, especially in the spring?
I played Allison a couple months ago at a 50, I think, and we had a close match. We went 3 sets, and she's also been training in Boca, so we've been hitting a lot together, and I think we'll have a good match no matter what.
You won when you played in the 50?
She did.
She won?
Yeah. And I'm not completely sure what I'm doing next couple months. I know I'm going to Australia, and I'm playing a couple challengers in the US.
Great.
I just had one more question for Patrick and also maybe for Robby too to answer. With all the changes in today's tennis, what do you both think it takes to succeed today in today's tennis world?
How about hard work?
Good answer.
No, I mean, sums it up pretty well. Today in the men's game, it's so physical out there. You can't last 30-ball rallies point after point. You're not gonna win too many matches out there. Too many times matches come down to the end, and you just got to believe in yourself in the key moments. Just always been pretty big into fitness, and luckily I've had that going for me throughout my career, and it's something that I strive on when I get to tournaments to be as fit as I can. So being out this much has helped me actually improve on that. So looking forward to next year and keep getting fitter.
Any updates or thoughts on the roof situation at the US
Roof
Open?
situation?
At the US Open, or lack of
I don't think that's my territory.
Any input or your opinion on
That'd be great to have one. How's that feel? Yeah. There is that niggling thing that always comes up. How much money it costs. So that is a factor. But I know that they're continuing to explore options. So hopefully at some point maybe there'll be one that won't be super duper ridiculous expenses that you know, takes away from a lot of the things that the USTA does, like holding this wild card playoff. Right?
The roof's a little more expensive.
Just a little. But we have the same amount of passion with what we do here. Believe me.
That brought a question up to me. Who came up with the idea for the wild card playoff, if you know?
Was that me, Tom, or I don't know who came up with that? It was a combination. I can't say that like I came up. It was our group. You know, it was our team. I don't remember the first one. I think we had the first one maybe for the French down in Boca. I really can't take credit for that, other than to say that it was really the player development team that came up with it. If it was Jose or Jay or Ola. I mean, we talked it through, and you know, we decided even a little over a year ago that we wanted to do one for the U.S. Open for one of the wild cards as well, even though we have plenty at our disposal. And I think not for the most, but I think entirely it's been the right decision.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Can we eat now? You got some food for us?
I want to
It was
thank
good last year. Well, thank you.
I want to thank Patrick and the players.